We've all had that feeling, right? That moment of
Yeah.
dread. You wake up, your body is just screaming at you, and you realize, oh
Yeah.
no, I have to explain exactly what's wrong to a doctor.
Hmm. And when you feel that awful, clarity is usually the first thing to go.
Exactly.
And that's precisely why we're doing this deep dive. Our mission today is to give you a kind of strategic blueprint for a successful medical visit. We've gone through the sources to find the essential language, the information you need, and, the exact steps.
So the goal for you, the learner, isn't just to follow a list. It's about gaining the confidence and the vocabulary to really be a partner in your own healthcare. We want you to walk in prepared.
Yes, because what's really crucial to understand is that the most powerful tool a doctor has is the story you tell them, the history you provide.
So we're going to break that down. We'll look at key terminology and 2 really detailed case studies from the source material, the flu, and a couple of different allergic reactions.
And this will really show how clear communication just makes everything faster and better.
Okay, let's get into it. We have to start at the very first step. Unless it's a real emergency, the whole process kicks off with a simple phone call.
Right, not with panic. You call the doctor's office or the clinic to schedule an appointment.
And that first call is really about triage, isn't it? They're trying to figure out how urgent this is.
Exactly. So you need to give them your name, of course, a contact number. But the critical part is a quick, clear description of the problem.
Our source material had a great example for this. The patient says, I have a strong headache since last night, a fever, my throat is super dry and painful, and I have a small cough.
And see, that little list tells the staff everything they need to know. They understand the scope of the problem and can figure out how soon you need to be seen.
So once you have that appointment, they'll give you some homework.
They will. A few critical action items. And doing this prep work saves so much time later. You must bring 3 things with you.
Okay, what are they?
Your health insurance card, a photo ID, and this is the one people forget, a full list of any medications you are currently taking.
And that includes over-the-counter stuff, right? Vitamins, supplements.
Everything, absolutely everything. Because doctors need to check for potential interactions or, maybe rule out a side effect from something you're already taking.
Okay, but there's a really important safety check here we have to stress. There is a line.
A very clear line. If your symptoms suddenly get much, much worse, we're talking difficulty breathing, serious chest pain, or a really high fever that just won't break,
Then you skip the clinic.
you bypass the clinic entirely and go straight to the emergency department. No hesitation. The sources are very clear on this.
Agreed. So let's say you've made the call, you've got your documents, now you're at the clinic. This brings us to the second stage. Check-in and vitals.
Right. So after the waiting room, a nurse will call you back and they do a quick check before the doctor even comes in.
This is where they get that basic health information, the vitals.
Yep. They'll check your weight, your height, and your temperature. It all just establishes a quick baseline of your general condition.
And the sources get a little more detail on one of these that I think confuses people. Blood pressure. That little squeeze on the arm. Why does that matter if you just have a sore throat?
That's a great question. What's fascinating is that blood pressure is a quick measure of how strongly your blood is moving through your body. In the context of an illness, it's a fast way to rule out major problems.
So what would it show?
Well, a really low blood pressure could signal something like shock or severe dehydration. A really high one might mean your body is under extreme stress. It's just a quick safety check to make sure your body is, generally stable.
That makes so much more sense. It's not about the sore throat, it's about the whole system.
Exactly. So once
Yeah.
they have those numbers, the nurse takes you to a smaller exam room and gives you that famous line.
The doctor will be with you shortly.
And when the doctor does arrive, they usually start the conversation with a very standard professional question,
What brings you in today?
which is really just a polite way of saying, okay, tell me what's wrong. It's your cue to start presenting your case.
Perfect. So let's use that as our cue and dive into case study 1, the flu.
Okay. In this scenario, the patient does a fantastic job describing their symptoms because they quantify the pain. They don't just say, I have a headache.
No, they say it's a 7 out of 10, where 10 is the worst pain imaginable. That gives the doctor a real, measurable piece of data right away.
And look at the language they use for the throat. It's not just sore. It hurts when talking and swallowing. It feels
It's like it's on fire. Very descriptive,
very, and crucially, they specify the cough. It's a dry cough.
meaning no mucus, no phlegm.
Right, and all these little details are the building blocks for a diagnosis. The patient also mentions a fever, 38.5 Celsius, and just feeling wiped out. No energy, no appetite.
Okay, so with that information, the doctor starts the physical exam. First, they look at the throat,
Confirms it looks, very red and irritated. Then they use the otoscope.
which is that little lighted instrument, not a thermometer.
Exactly, just a light to look in the ears. They're checking for a secondary infection, make sure nothing else is going on.
And then comes the stethoscope.
Right, and they listen to the lungs. And what they're listening for are sounds like rattles or crackles.
Which would suggest something much more serious, like pneumonia.
Precisely. So in this case, the lungs sounded clear. The doctor says that's excellent news.
So you take the symptoms, you add the clear lung check, and that all points to the diagnosis. Influenza, the flu.
And the doctor is careful to explain that this is a virus, not bacteria. That distinction is absolutely vital.
Because it changes the whole treatment plan. Antibiotics are off the table.
Completely useless. The treatment is all about managing the symptoms while your body's immune system does the real work. The sources break the plan down into 4 pillars.
Pillar 1 is rest. Seems obvious, but people fight it.
They do. The advice is clear. Stay home, actually sleep for at least 2 to 3 days. Pillar 2, fluids and diet.
Drink a ton of water, juice, tea with honey. And even if you're not hungry, you have to eat something small and gentle. Soup, porridge.
Pillar 3 is the prescription. The medicine they give you is purely for the symptoms. It'll help the headache and the fever.
But it will not kill the virus.
It will not. And you need to take it consistently, twice a day after you eat, to avoid those fever spikes coming back.
And finally, pillar 4, for that on-fire throat.
Lazines, which you can just buy over the counter at the pharmacy. You just suck on them like candy for some relief.
Okay, so before the patient leaves, the doctor gives a really clear benchmark for recovery.
A very important one. You should not go back to work until your fever has been gone for a full 24 hours without taking any fever-reducing medicine.
Now, that seems a little overly cautious, maybe? I mean, if you feel better after, say, 12 hours, why wait a whole day?
That's a great strategic question. The sources really emphasize this. That 24-hour mark isn't some arbitrary rule. It's biological.
Okay, explain that.
It does 2 things. First, it prevents a relapse. It ensures your body isn't still fighting something that the medicine was just hiding or masking. And second, it's about public health. It stops you from going back to the office while you're still contagious.
Ah, okay. That makes perfect sense. It's about full recovery for you and protecting everyone else.
Exactly.
All right, let's pivot, because not every problem is a virus. Let's look at case study 2, allergies. This one is all about figuring out the trigger.
Right, and this segment gives us 2 very different allergy scenarios. Scenario A is an environmental allergy. The trigger, a big fluffy cat.
The symptoms here are pretty classic. A runny nose, itchy eyes, sneezing constantly.
But the key assessment here was telling the difference between what's just annoying and what's actually dangerous.
And how do they do that?
The symptoms were called annoying but not dangerous because there was no difficulty breathing, no shortness of breath, no wheezing.
Wheezing is the magic word here.
It's the red flag. Any wheezing suggests a much more serious respiratory reaction that needs stronger, faster treatment. Since that wasn't happening, the plan was simple.
Over-the-counter antihistamines.
Yeah.
And stay away from the cat.
Avoid the trigger for a few days. Let your system calm down. Now, scenario B is totally different. It's a contact allergy.
So the problem isn't breathing, it's the skin. The patient comes in with these itchy red patches on their arms and neck.
And they just appeared when they woke up. So the first job is to identify the trigger. The doctor asks if they've used anything new.
And the patient remembers using a new, very fragrant shampoo the night before.
And that's it. That's why the doctor always asks about new things, new foods, new soaps, new detergents, anything.
So the first part of the treatment is obvious. Stop using that shampoo immediately.
Right. But for the itching, the doctor recommends hydrocortisone cream.
Which is another over-the-counter product.
Yes. And the key instruction for using it is to apply a thin layer 2 or 3 times a day. You don't want to slather it on. A thin layer is actually more effective and less irritating.
And there's a follow-up plan built in.
A very clear one. If the red spots don't get better in 2 days, or if they get worse, you need to come back. It creates a clear threshold for action.
Okay, so we've covered the whole journey. I think it would be good to quickly review the essential vocabulary, but maybe focus on why the words matter.
Good idea. Let's start with symptom. It's not just a sign of being sick, it's the critical data that you are providing. The clearer you are, the faster the diagnosis.
Next, prescription. This is basically the doctor's official permission slip you need to get strong, regulated medicines from the pharmacy.
It's a safety control. Then you have the pharmacy, or drugstore. That's the hub. It's where you get both the prescription meds and the over-the-counter stuff like lozenge.
And last one, appointment. It's not just a meeting. It's that required scheduled time that guarantees the professional is focused only on you and your problem.
When you look at all the sources, the single most effective piece of advice really just boils down to one thing.
Communicate clearly.
Communicate with extreme clarity. What is happening to your body? When did it start? And have you tried anything new? That's it.
So we've really done a deep dive into the whole structure of a medical visit, from that first phone call and the documents you need to why they check your blood pressure.
All the way through the exam with the otoscope and stethoscope, and then learning the kind of clarity you need to tell the difference between a virus and an allergy.
And we saw that treating the flu is about rest and managing symptoms, while treating allergy is about finding and stopping the source of the problem.
So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to take away from this deep dive. We know a bacterial infection needs antibiotics and a virus needs time. But how does the decision to take any medication, even a simple over-the-counter pain reliever, how does that fundamentally change the information your own immune system receives? And what's the hidden cost of masking your symptoms when it comes to judging your own recovery?
That's a great question to think on. The more you understand the process, the better you can navigate your next medical visit.